Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So in tonight's episode of Should You Summon, we'll discuss the newest banners that are available in terms of the global version 2022 Best of the Best 2. Now note there was a Best of the Best 1 that was released just last week, as well as Encounter Necoco, and finally another style Fireside Cat. Now if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. Now one last thing I want to mention is that I actually bought a new microphone for recording, so let me know in comments below how you find the sound quality. I hope that it does come out a lot better than what I was using previously. Now that being said, let's bring up the first banner here. Of course, anything that says Fateful does require 1,000 paid stones. Hopefully you are able to take advantage of either some of the discounted packages that are available, or if you still have the 1,000 paid stones from the premium, I guess the trial, so to speak, where you bought that premium pack for a small amount of money for 1,000 stones, that is also available to be used. Now, as per the notice, this banner has just 10 5-stars in it on the 10th pull. So remember that Faithfuls do guarantee a 5-star on the 10th pull. On pulls 1 to 9, you can hit anything basically, at the posted rates, and some of them are harder to get than others. Normally 4.5s and 5s are pretty hard to get in general, even on pulls 1 to 9. However, on the 10th pull, the Faithful guarantees one of the 10 units here. AS Necoco, Alma, Orlea, Flamelopus, Eva, Mystere AS, Radius AS, Milsha AS, and Yifa AS. Finally, Mew ES. I mean, look at that lineup. Pretty crazy stuff. That's why they call it the Best of the Best 2. I don't think it overlaps with the first one, but I can double check and see. And of course, unfortunately, even if you pull on it, though it guarantees a 5-star on the 10th pull, you can get the standard amount of 3.5s, 4s, and Rainbow Sisters, Knights, and Bots. So, what do I think about this banner? Honestly, they call it Best of the Best for a reason. I mean, you've probably seen me discuss or use many of the units shown here. The scam units Flam and Eva paired together are insanely broken in any water team or magic team or water magic team. You can use, any number of zone setters to kind of enhance that. And we also have water zone Grasta to one turn it, or you can have magic zone 1 turn preemptive with units such as Ultra Xion. Even our free unit Aisha can do a water zone as a first turn AF. Orlea is our premier Thunder Zone setter. She can do Allumage, which boosts power and speed by 50%, 100% in Thunder Zone. She has guaranteed hold ground for your entire rotation of units in your party as long as she's in the front line. She can put a type shield while establishing Thunder Zone, and in Thunder Zone, your thunder attacks not only do more damage, your AF actually lasts longer in a Thunder Zone when you're using thunder attacks versus normal zones. Conversely, you actually charge a little bit less with each thunder hit outside of the AF. And, not only that, she has the delayed triple debuff. She's got healing. She's got a lot of things going for her. ES Mew is also a Thunder Zone setter. However, unfortunately, she can only VC in a Thunder Zone. What makes her stand out, though, is that she can pierce barrier and go into some sort of Lionheart mode where essentially it's like a lunatic on steroids. She can do a tremendous amount of damage. She can pierce through barriers. She is a very powerful Thunder Pierce, and she can actually be used with Orlea in a Thunder team or in other teams with a Pierce team. And speaking of Pierce, we have Alma. Alma is the only Crystal Zone setter. She can VC in Crystal Zone. She can turn into Trance mode, which does tremendous amounts of damage, kind of like a lunatic as well. She can do both Crystal Magic as well as Crystal Pierce attacks, and her Crystal Magic attack pierces barriers just like ES Mew's Pierce attack pierces barriers. And if you have any annoying bosses where they have a barrier in place, it can just one-shot past most of those. AS Radius, cheap tank, as in you can tank things for 3 turns. If you watch my clear on Lavager on my friend's account, you can see even at level 1, AS Radius is insane. You do nothing, she can take everything the enemy throws at you, except for kickback, for 3 turns, allowing you to set up any strategies you need to win the fight. AS Mystere I have not side graded, as well as AS Miltia, so I really can't comment too much about them. I do know that AS Miltia does have a Moonlight stance, which is a very unique stance. It is a niche stance and it's difficult to pull off, but if you can pull it off, you can essentially have a team that either doesn't take damage if you take 1,000 damage or less, or basically in unlimited lunatic under the right setup. In terms of AS Mystere, she has dual debuffs, she has an end of turn attack, she can still mitigate damage, increase damage, kind of like Pizzica, but in a different way. So these singers are very unique and both have their strong points as well as their weak points. And finally, we'll round it out with AS Yifa. Although she doesn't really do much in the terms of attacking, she can boost stats based on her own spirit, I believe, and it can essentially almost, I won't say quite double someone's base stats, but give a massive boost to their base stats such that a unit will do way more damage than normal. I mean, you can see a lot of different videos out there where AS Yifa boosts a mid-range unit and that becomes a top tier DPS after that. So a very nice rounding out of 10 units. What does this mean? Well, if you're willing to spend money in the game and you want one of these units or many of them, I mean, it's a very good gamble. It's not perfect. It's not a star dream, so you can't guarantee to pick the unit you want. However, I mean, you're giving yourself a chance of, one of these extremely powerful units. I would say of the 10 here, I would say maybe you can argue that the singers aren't nearly as essential. However, even getting any of those, especially early game, mid game, and early end game, will be very beneficial to you. And of course, if you're in late end game, all these units can be very, very good. So if you're willing to spend some money, this is a banner I would recommend. Okay, so the next banner is just encounter Necoco. So what does that mean? It means that if you really need Necoco, instead of using a Star Dream, you can use this banner. It doesn't really give you much of anything. However, all it does is guarantee you a Necoco. And remember that if you are a free-to-play player or a light spender or even a heavy spender, you can still grind out all the treaty Cs required for the Fireside Cut once it drops in, I think, early January. Remember that they are not available as of right now. They aren't available until I think January 10th UTC. So keep that in mind. But just quickly speaking, I mean, if you want to save your Star Dream, and I know a Star Dream hasn't dropped yet, but there may be one coming up in the next few months. What some strategies are to pull with your paid stones on this encounter Necoco to guarantee a Necoco, provided you missed on the best of the best 2 with AS Necoco, and then save your more paid stones so that when the Star Dream comes out, you can select another unit for your team. I mean, it is a little bit much to ask, being that you're not talking about spending any number of thousands of paid stones. So it's not really for the faint of heart or for a really light spender, but for someone who's a light to moderate spender willing to buy a 4K package of stones, I mean, it's not a bad strategy. Certainly not optimal, but it is possible. And finally, the actual banner. Now, I'm actually curious to see who she's shared with, because previously she would have been shared with Nagi with her Nagi's Manifest. However, Nagi is now paired with Alter his Mina. So let's see if this banner got improved. And yes, this banner is insane now. When I say insane for a free banner, I do mean insane for a free banner. Sometimes AS units are paired with other lesser units, such as, for example, Nagi. In this case, Necoco AS is paired with herself. So that means 0.4 for the 4.5, 0.8 for the 5-star normal, 0.8 for the 8S. What that means is a flat 2% chance on any pulls, whether or not you do a single pull or a 10 pull. That gives you a much higher chance of getting any form of Necoco rather than a split banner where she's shared with, for example, Nagi regular style. Of course, being that this is a free banner, not all the newest units are here. Usually it's lagging behind by about 2 banners. So Alter or Moonlight Flower, his Mina isn't here. And I believe Rose Unseen, which is AS Biaka, shouldn't be here. So those should be the 2 newest banners. You can take though as long as the other banners are units are listed here, even EVA AS, although at a very low % chance, you can still off banner the other 5 stars in the game other than the most current 2. And of course, unfortunately, bots, Rainbow Sisters Knights galore for everyone to enjoy. So, about AS Necoco, what makes her so special? Well, let me tell you. First of all, of course, being a zone setter, she can set Earth Zone. She can increase crit damage of all party members by 50% for 1 turn, 2 turns if you get her VC Grasta. Very similar or exactly the same as Miyufa's normal style VC. I've made a lot of use of increasing crit damage while VCing in. If you happen to not need Necoco, you can just VC her in after an HP stopper, and then your one-shot kill will just do a little bit more crit damage. These are strategies some people use. I mean, you can also use whatever to your liking, but certainly that is a very useful thing. Not to mention, if you don't have an Earth Zone yet, hey, you get an Earth Zone setter. I don't believe there's an Earth Zone setter free yet. They're all through Gacha. I believe there's AS Tiramisu, Ultra Tuva, there's AS Necoco now, Mufa, of course. I think that's everything. There might be one more I'm missing, but you get the idea. It's not available through free strats yet. So yeah, not bad. What makes her really interesting is she still retains most of her 4-star normal moves. Necoco normal style had a shield called Cat Deity Guardian, which is physical and type resist 35% of both, shielding for both front and back units. That means all 6 units get shielded, which means that when they switch or VC in, they'll still be protected. Very, very nice benefit there. She still has her 4-star Spirit Wisdom, which is essentially 50% up and down in terms of 50% type resistance down depending on the element zone you're in, 50% type up for the element zone you're in. So you can make use of that in any elemental zone. Necoco changes all her moves to whatever elemental zone's in play. So if it's Earth Zone, all her moves are Earth. If it's Fire Zone, all her moves are Fire, and you get the idea. She does not switch in Weapon Zone, but that's not really what she's used for. And finally, she can actually set crits rate for your entire team. However, I mean, that's her 4-star move, and you're probably not using that at this point. What you're using her for is the fact that she has a preemptive power, int, speed, and weapon damage of your entire team up by 50%, and if you're in any elemental zone, that becomes 75%. I mean, that is extremely powerful buff for your whole team. Not to mention, this also changes all your party members in the front's elements to the element of the zone. So, do you want a Fire Neptune or a Fire, like Icicle Zorch? Do you want a Wind, whatever the heck? You can make all your elemental teams much more powerful if you can kind of mix and match. Your Alma will now switch to the element. So, she's going to benefit from the extra damage. And remember that you can awaken elemental zones. So instead of just doing 50% more damage in one elemental zone, awaken zone, which she can also do, by the way, now we'll lock it in and do double the damage. It's 100% extra type damage of that element. So huge buffing potential. Changing everyone to the element that you're using that's in play, that is really, really broken mechanic in my opinion. Now, there is a downside. It'll also change it for your enemies as well, but I mean, you should be able to win first before the enemy does anything. And finally, she has a defensive debuff as well. Power, int, speed, type resistance down 25%, but in elemental zones, which you're going to be, or any zone, it's going to be 50-50-50. So, I mean, if you've used Kid, if you use Orlea with those debuffs of 50-50-50, you know how well protected you will be, especially in combination with your shielding with Cat Deity Guardian, if you even need it at that point. And she also heals while doing that at the same time. I consider this to be a 10 out of 10 banner if you don't have any form of Necoco. For newer players who have just joined the game due to the Another Eden Tales of Collab, welcome, and I would highly recommend you spend your stones on this banner as well. 2% rate up for this featured unit in some form is great, and I know that you might not get the actual featured unit, but the general rule is if you get any form of the unit, you can eventually grind out the other materials needed, and it's not years, everyone. It is only usually around 3 to 6 months, and sometimes a little bit faster than that. So in general, if you're in the mid or end game, 3 months is probably what I would aim for a side grade. That sounds like a long time, but if this unit is meta, which I can't see why she isn't. She's going to tie together a lot of random teams such that you're going to have a mono element team that's going to slap everything in its way, provided you have some powerful DPS out there. And of course, don't forget, if you have already gotten Moonlight Flower Hizmena as a water unit, guess what? She can now become an Earth Zone unit with your Necoco AS. And so you can tie those two together, or any mismatch of units you want. So yes, definitely summon for it. If you have her in some form, of course, I would highly recommend you wait out the extra couple weeks before grinding out those treaty seeds, being that they're not available. You'll just do your normal grinding, but keep in mind that your plans for side grading AS Necoco are going to be delayed. Definitely a unit I would recommend. Just like last year when normal style Necoco came out, I recommended that as a 10 out of 10 banner too, and I am not disappointed in my recommendation even from back then, because I do have her and I've used her for many fights. Alright, so let me know in the comments below, are you planning to summon? Do you have her already? Are you new to the game and you're going to summon anyways? Do you have her and you're going to summon anyways? Or, even better, are you going to summon on the best of the best and spend your hard-earned real money on it? Remember, you can do this up to 3 times. And if you pair it with something like this, you probably get lots and lots of powerful units as well if you want to spend some money on the game. As for myself, as many of you know, I am a completely free player, and so I will not be summoning on any of the Fatefolds, and I do have a Necoco normal style, so I will save my stones and grind it out so that I can save my stones for future banners. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.